He was 244 out. I just turned on the mic. Dumbhead me. My dad just sent me a text, so thanks, Dad. And so we're going back. Did the McGolf Drawers thing. Big time pack rat, thank you very much. And guys, thank you very much for staying with me when we do this. Now, the Century Tournament of Champions, Harris English was the winner in a playoff. He beat Joaquin Niemann, and those two guys were just striping it. Right? They were absolutely killing it in two different ways. Niemann was a big low ball hitter and just letting it get out there and was running forever, where Harris was more of your traditional hitter. Both had their A games going, and in either case, either one of them could have ended it and didn't, so they went into the playoff. So it was it was a good battle. It was kind of funny because when in the playoff, when first shot got out there, I thought, oh man, he's short, he's not going to make it. Well, then Niemann hit it hard. The adrenaline was pumping, and he ended up into the back. And it was just a matter of short game and putts, and that's what it came down and won it. So congratulations to Harris English. Now, Bryson D Shambo, he was out at 244, and he had an iron in his hand. And he came around and just hit the snot out of that ball. And it hit, and it rolled right up, and it was with an inch of going in from 244. And they were talking like he may have hit an 8-iron or a 7-iron. Now, keep in mind, it was all completely downhill, downwind, with a whole bunch of roll and the whole 9 yards. So he probably only had to hit it about, I guess they're saying he hits an 8-iron like 205 if he really wants to. And if you only had to hit a 200-yard ball, that would be the club to hit. So there you go. So congratulations to the winner. All right, onward and upward. So for the stuff that we did this time, we did some more Ferrules. Matthew from New York sent us a set of the PXGs, and he wanted the new Ferrules put on them, and that's what we did. And it with the new process that I showed you guys last time, went on slick as a whistle. And I will tell you, we'll use this as a basis. Hopefully you can see the arrow on here. But if you look, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, quite possibly 7 beauty rings on there. And when you put that many rings on there, it can certainly weaken it. So when you guys go to push these things on, you really want to be careful, because that's the weak spot of that ferrule. And if you go to push it on or you go to pull it back, there's a real opportunity for it to break. So you got to make it So what I did with that drill is I just real slow and methodical, just barely got it in there and got her back out so that would slide on easy enough. And that was what I wanted it to do. Now, you guys go, and in the past, I've pushed them, and that's okay, but if you go to push them and you have to push them back a little bit, you run into that part where you could really hurt them. And so I showed you that one. There they are, some more of it. And I really like the looks of these things. I really never was a fan of the really long ferrules, but these guys have got some really good coloring going on, right? And so it makes them really look good. Another thing, let's see. There's mine. I've been hitting these guys quite a bit with that stuff in there. And I've been hitting enough here. I'm starting to get that golfer callus, so getting prepared. And let's see about this guy. Some X-forged. I just changed out some shafts, balanced them out a little bit. He wanted them balanced, so we took a real hard look at them, and that's what we ended up doing. And then here's some work coming up. I've got some Miras, 1957s, some Srixon ZX5s, and some D7 Fords from Wilson. Another kind of a look. So we got a lot going on, even in the winter time for here in Ohio. And today, although I cannot show you because the embargo date's on at least for another week, maybe, is the Callaway Epic stuff came in. And it's going to be neat. We're going to have a really cool review on that one when it comes through. So, very nice. Last but not least, certainly, if you guys like and subscribe for the channel, I'd appreciate it. And I normally have a video going out tomorrow, but somehow it launched today. And so if you guys got any questions about what it was, I guess that might be a thing going forward. But it was on a new frequency machine. And what it was, I sent the old one back that had the dual clutch clamps, and I just couldn't use them because it was just taking up too much time. There was too much balancing it on the way down. And he sent me back a single, much more simpler to use. I am all about simple. And the thing is that it can perform the same functions, just maybe a button push or two more, and I'm on my way. That I can stand. Now, I did use my frequency calibration stick that I've had since the beginning of time, and it came out dead on. So now I have to make a new a new frequency chart, which I've talked to the guy who started this whole thing, and he's in Canada, and he really hooked me up. So now I've got them printed out. I've just got to put them together and laminate them, and we're right back where we need to go. So good for us. So that's where we're at. We're getting into it now. We're getting close to what would have been the PGA show. We're going to have a virtual version of that, and I'm not sure how that's going to work yet. With that, the new releases are starting to come out a little bit. Coming out, this stuff's starting to show up on our front porch. Well, let's get to the top here. Let's get to the top. All righty, Matt made it in here first. 68. Wanted to make some birdies. Question. What other sports do I follow? More of a college football guy, and I'm more of a Nebraska Huskers fan because that's where I was born. I just kind of stay with them. And I haven't watched in a long, long time, but if I had my druthers, I'd probably watch baseball and just stay from there. And I do like the college because they still have to try. They still have to try. And they're on tonight, Robin has told me. They're on tonight, national champions, so by the time we're done, there should be plenty of time to be able to watch them. That's good. And 68, man, well done. David. All right, you like the one link? Oh, the Patterson. Now, the Patterson video, guys, the Patterson video really took off. I was really kind of surprised. So there's some desire to know about that kind of stuff. I sent a note to Patterson to ask them about it, and they must be wound pretty tight, other than the shafts, because they wanted me to talk directly to the CEO. And I've talked to him before. He is a good guy, but the inquiry or the questions were really good. So anyway, to build with them, David, is I thought they were easy. They were very consistent. These were like 110s, right? 110 shafts. They do have lighter weights, and you can go lighter flex. But what I really thought was really cool for those guys who haven't seen it is that they have specific shafts. They'll have what I will classify it as long iron, mid iron, short iron shafts in single length build. Now, in putting it together, I found that there was a bit of a step in it down at the bottom. It was underneath the yellow part of the design, and that could be the whole idea of what makes it do what it does. But I really enjoyed it. And I did get my sound. Alrighty. David, I saw that. Lockdown again. And no, I'm not doing any fittings with New Level Golf any longer. Eric has decided to go it a different direction in his business model. The custom orders were a very, very small percentage of his business model. It was just easier not to deal with it, I think, is basically what it came down to. Still a good guy. I do like the new look, but I can't tell you anything about him. And the left-handed ones I've got, they did me right. I mean, they hit very, very fine. But we're going to do some new ones this year. All right, let's see. Here's Tiger talking to us. Is the new 60-degree M2 Tiger Woods wedge from Taylormade the same as the Vokey D-grind? I don't know. I'd have to see the Tiger Woods edge or wedge in order for me to be able to do that. So maybe I'll take a look at that here in a little bit. Okay. Cartersville, Georgia. Well done. Now the madness is done down there. Good for you. Pastulio. Yep. From London. Sir, how are you? And hopefully you guys are getting through the lockdown. David, what's your preference between parallel descending weight or taper tip constant weight for iron shafts? I did see your I got the question, man. So we'll do both, okay? So David asks, preference between parallel and taper tips, basically, okay? And descending weight is kind of a misnomer as well, in that parallels they're all built to the same. They're all built to the same length. They're within a certain tolerance for their weight at the beginning. And so are taper tip, except taper tip comes in discrete lengths. All right, so they're packing. So as a whole, in a lot of cases, now some companies are getting better. You have the same weight in a shaft this long and the same weight in a shaft this long. And the big rule of thumb is the more stuff you pack onto this shaft, the stiffer it's going to be, and it's by design because it's got more stuff. What's it going to do? And that's the thing with it, right? That was a preference, all right? And I saw this was a question before, why? And why the OEMs use it a lot. Well, normally they're not too worried about flex, all right? They're not too worried about flex. They think, with the testing, and I can tell you this, is that with the testing that they've done, or with the consistency that they believe that they have, plus or minus whatever width that might be, that's a good enough tolerance for them. And that's specifically when you're putting together, hundreds of thousands of golf clubs every year. And so that's just one, because you just put it in, let it glue, let it dry, finish it, cut it to length, send it on its way. as opposed to trimming it and then put it in. It's just you've saved a step or two, and when you're doing 100,000 to a million, that's 100,000 to a million steps. And that's a lot of time. Now, the other side of this is when the constant weight, all the players on the tour just absolutely, this is what it's got to be. They've all got to feel the same, and they heard the word constant weight. And the thing is that when you got into a certain length and then you cut off the back end, the butt section, you may be doing different lengths of the butt section, but that's splitting hairs. They weren't doing it back in that day. So that's why. If I'm truly concerned about the flex of the golf club, I will go with parallel. If I'm not, then I will most likely use taper. For me, I'm just the opposite of what the industry does. I am more parallel because I like making a consistent golf club. The argument could be, well, the golfer doesn't swing the same every time, so what does it matter? And that's true, but the reality of it is, if I make it consistent, then the opportunity to be more consistent arrives as opposed to the other way around. That's why. All righty, so David, here's the other one. Spine and flow. Oh, the flowing. So David wants to know about the CPM when I get on my machine and I do a flowing. So what I do, you can do it that way, David, at the 90 degree, and because there is another one going that way, right? But what I do is when I spine it, I'm finding the hard side right off the bat, and that's when I shove it in there. But you could always check that just to make sure. When you do find the higher number, yes, you are finding the hard side. So hopefully that helps. Okay, James Wilson. What raw length driver shaft is 46 inches? Would I need to cut to make the driver playing 45.5 inches and it being G410? What raw length driver shaft? Okay, so almost standard across the board, right? Almost standard across the board. You would have to be an inch and a quarter, right at an inch and a quarter less than the length that you wanted. For instance, if you need the whole length of this club needed to be 44.5 inches. All right, and then that would get you where you need to be. That would be a safe number, particularly when you go to put on a grip. Now they do change. I will say not everyone's exactly equal. Some are an inch, some could be an inch and a half. All right, I'm finding, so if we split the difference, inch and a quarter, and you'd be right there. Doug from Florida, on a 610 butt, what grip size should you use? Okay. All right, so if you're looking for, because they don't make 610 core grips, do they? They make 600s, 580s, 560s. They may make a big butt one, but the core would still be the same. At a .01, you're probably not going to feel too much difference. But if you wanted to make it like a mid-size, you wouldn't need nearly as much tape. So if you had a 600 core, I would just put it on. You probably wouldn't notice it. Or what you can do is you can stretch it just a little bit. Specifically if it's a rubber grip, just stretch it on there. When you push it on there and it's stopped, just grab it and push it just a little bit and you'd be right where you need to be. But as far as, and that's with the core size, because you have 600 core for mid, 600 core for jumbo, all that stuff. And you could put it on there for that. What is the bottom to bottom on the Taylormade M4 driver head? I don't know. I am not strong with Taylormade, guys. Sorry, but as a whole, and what they're talking about, so we're talking the bottom, the ground line. I'm going with the bottom bore ground line measurement is what that stands for. And this is a Mizuno, but when you measure, let's see if I can get it so you guys can see it. There we go. So if everything was measured like this, here we go. Everything is measured on a plane. Here we go. If everything's measured on a plane, this goes down to the bottom and the bore stops right here. And what he's talking about is the measurement from here down to where that same line will interact into the ground, right about here. And the funny part is, I was holding it up like that, but in reality, where this thing goes into it, they all normally run somewhere. It's as much as they insert, that's typically what they have on the bottom. So as a whole, and it's just a reference, is about 1.5 inches. Here we go. Okay, it says, think about trading in my Epic Flash for a Maverick driver. Are the numbers in the shaft descriptions used to determine if they would be for a Singer swing speed? Well, what they have is, are the numbers in the shaft descriptions used to determine if they would be for a Singer? Sometimes. If you're looking at, let's say, so we're trying to see the shaft description. So you will see stuff that, you'll see like UST goes with F, F2, F3, F4, F5. And F3 is regular, F4 is stiff, F2 would be more into that senior flex, where F1 might be for ladies. Acura uses the M, same designator, but M's. Other people just put R, S, and X in there. Then normally there's numbers associated with it, and somewhere in that code is a 60, a 70, a 55, or something like that, and that's trying to give you weight, right? And that's pretty much all they give you. And then there are some, like Mitsubishi, in order to define the difference between a real one and a fake one, there was a code that they would give you on there, so those of us that were dealers could tell them apart, because they were really getting infiltrated. Hopefully that helps you, bud. Oliver, miserable lockdown in London. There you go. I swear, man. I just hope you guys get through this. I really do. Built myself an old pitching wedge this week, Mizuno TP9. Nice rifle shaft, even better. Lovely big face on an old blade. You are correct, sir. That thing's a monster. And with a rifle shaft, was it an old one or a new one, like the blade? There is a difference. The rifle shaft of old is not the rifle shaft of new. Nowhere close. And they were different. So, if you got one of the older ones, it's a nice stout little shaft that works very, very well. Now for you guys that are in London, there is a golf store. It's very much, I would say, it's the UK's version of Golf Works, that does a lot with parts like grips and shafts and things like that. Club making stuff, and it was at Diamond Tour or Diamond Golf, I think. They're the ones that are now carrying. They're the ones that are carrying the Washon stuff. I was wondering if you guys have dealt with them. I've met them once, or actually Robin brought them over because she interacted with them more than me. But just seeing what you guys thought of these guys. All right, going to test drive the 425 when lockdown ends. Nice, well done. Well, Ping doesn't make a bad driver, dude, so I can't believe that you would have any problems with it. Definitely going to get out Wednesday and Thursday, huh? Why is it supposed to be warm? Am I missing something? Certainly I would like to get out there. There's Travis, and he's from the Facebook side. Liked your comment last week about taking the PAT. The PGA would be blessed to have you as a member. Well, thank you, buddy. I am seriously turning that one. So you guys are the first ones to hear it. I mentioned it last week. I'm going to try the southern. We have in Ohio, there's a southern PGA section and a northern PGA section. And I've dealt with a lot of the guys around here. Obviously, they're in the southern part. And knowing these guys and having discussions with these guys, You just don't go and you hit a bunch of golf balls and bam, you're a PGA pro. There is a certain level of schooling, and it's very serious. And it's to weed out those folks that just think that they're going to sit around and be a golf pro. That's not how it works. All right. And you have to take a PAT, is a physical aptitude test. And you have to, right now, as it stands, you had to shoot a aggregate of like 276s, assuming it's a par 72. Now you can shoot a 78, 74 if you wanted, but as long as the aggregate score is there. And then for the youngins or people not already involved, there's a set of courses, and the textbooks are very, very wide, and there's a lot of them. And each one of these sections costs. It costs to take the PAT. It costs to take the school. But once you get in the PAT and you get into the we'll call it into the pipeline, then you're in. Then you have to pass these things, because now they say like you're an apprentice, and then you're a pro, and then inside that they keep going. It's very much a journeyman's thing in different sections, and you can but the outside world doesn't know most of that. But it's not a joke. It's a lot of work, a lot of books, and then when you're done, you go down to Florida and you test through those guys and let them. You sit in a class or two, and then you get tested. So it's quite the little process. And I'm interested in just being able to take the PAT. If it takes off and I go more from there, then fine. But it's just like one of those bucket list things to say I tried to compete at it. Might turn into a really cool YouTube thing. Dean, of course, that's just Toledo. Sorry, man. And the whole reason, indeed, here's the deal with this. The guy that taught me what most of the work that I do out there, he loved going up north. He liked going up in that area, and he called it toodly-doo from the get-go, to the point that that's the only way we ever said it from there on in. And when I said it in the video, I was like, oh, no, that's not right. And I had to recalibrate myself, and that's what you said. So, but yeah. Oh. Hey, Jerry Smiley, and on Facebook again. Measure twice, cut once. Learn my lesson. Now forehand is now a half-inch short. The old carpenter's rule, right? Measure twice, cut once. And we've all fallen victim to it, man. Every last one of us. I can't believe not everyone has. But the good thing is that they do make extensions. You can get a steel extension if you're using a steel shaft and put it in there and get that half-inch back, and you won't notice any difference. So very good to you. Dwayne, sir, how are you? All right, hopefully it's a little cold to be getting out there now, right? And I'm talking to the man. I'm going to have a video conference with your previous instructor, Mike, and it's coming up this Friday. I've been trying to use all what you taught me, man. Dwayne is one heck of a golfer, guys and gals. He can really stripe it, and I wouldn't want to put any money up against him, that's for sure. All righty, Dwayne, here we go. David, which weight category of shafts do you tend to fit most average golfers in? Heavy, mid, or light? I would say mid. Heavy is very rare anymore, and we'll say heavy, and heavy being what would be the old standard in the 120s in irons, the high 60s, 70 grams in drivers. You don't see that very much unless the guy's very aggressive. Most of the mid-weight stuff, 105, 110, some 95, and a lot of 105 for me in irons. And then the 110, and 95s. I'd be 105s and 95s would be the best. And then in drivers, a lot of 60, 65s, and 55s. It's just, that's been most for the average golfer, because it's a lot of weight to bring around, and it's funny, that little bit, not only makes things more stiff, but the extra heft that you've got to do when you're playing around. Vidalia, Caesar, how are you, sir? Still developing my swing. When should I get my clubs checked for lie angles? Should I wait or get them or until I get the swing figured out? Well, that's a good question. So here's what I would do, Caesar. I would right now, I would go get them checked now, and to make sure that they're not whacked out now. And then as your swing develops, have them rechecked. Okay, and because what's going to happen is that you're going to be practicing your swing, and let's just say these things are completely flat and you're digging the toe. Well, you're going to make this swing so that you don't. And then all of a sudden you've made this swing that adapts to the golf equipment instead of the other way around. And so check them now, do the lesson, knock off the rust, whatever it is that you want to do, and then have them checked one more time just to make sure. Now, the other part of this, Caesar, is that you have to ensure you have the right length as well. The right length of a club is, so if let's just say you choke down 1/2 of an inch, grand, right? Just make sure you keep doing it. And that way you have that same length. And you get to a point where you're really checking your irons and stuff, or even the driver, doesn't matter. Have them adjusted. When it's time to regrip, ask them to cut off whatever that length would be and then regrip them. You'd be surprised how easy it is when you don't have to choke down. Spence, thank you, sir. And Denver, whoo! Are you guys under some snow, I'm sure. Well done. I am, sir. I am doing my best. Well, we can talk about it. So here's one for you, Dwayne. And guys, I just did the review. I did a review video on the Wilson D9 Hybrid. We've talked about that. I've done the 6-iron or the irons, and I like them. And I was struggling with the hybrid, and normally I don't. And I was like, what is going on with this club? And I thought I was hitting it well. And what happened and I just started swinging it. I just took this really long backswing so I could just feel like I was flicking it through, just like letting that club release, right? And I was getting there, and I was hitting some very far balls, but the control was just completely shot. It wasn't there. I thought something's just not right, and I compared it to my hybrid, and it was the D9 was an inch long. Like, holy smokes! So I started choking down that full-on inch, and the quality of hit skyrocketed. And when it skyrocketed, I could take my normal swing, and I was virtually hitting it the same length as me taking this full-on swing, and there was easily 6 to 8 mile an hour difference. That's the difference that makes for us. And now I can tell you that if you guys get an opportunity to hit any of this stuff, particularly in that category, choke down, but give it a shot. These guys could really have something here. Very well. Okay. Get to the top here again. There's Austin from Austin. Well done, sir. Hopefully things are good going down there. South Mountain, Ontario. Sunny V. Well done. I was just, like I was saying, David Egger from Canada was, like we say, Ontario, like Canada's everywhere, right? And, but he was, it's not Ontario. It's another one, starts with an O. But he's a good guy. I think he summers down in the U.S., in Arizona, and he's very, very good. And he helped me out. So we're going to have a new frequency chart. Alberta. There you go. It wasn't an O. It was an A. Alberta. So, David, if you're watching, thank you, sir. Travis, This is another one of those things. Other than single link, this guy keeps popping up. I I hear good things about it, but in my area back here, we're very rural, and price matters a lot, and that's a very expensive putter shaft. And you're talking to a guy that likes putters, and if it made me putt better, I would have it. I would have it. I would have it in a minute, because that is the one place you can shave strokes in the quickest possible method, quickest possible way. But you have to admit it's pricey. But no, I'm not. And I don't carry enough popularity yet for them to come find me to put it in. So I'm going to hold on to it, because my putter did develop into something special towards the end of the year. There's Lorinda, and on Facebook with that emoji. Thank you, dear. What are you building anymore? Let's hear about it. Have you seen the new KBS one-step putter shaft yet? I have seen it. I saw it in its prototype. How about that one? And it's for lack of a better term, it's a steel. If you were to draw an outline on a sheet of paper on this thing, and then do the last one, the BGT, or the UST frequency one, you traced them all out on a sheet of paper, chances are the only difference is going to be the transition area, whether it's a nice smooth step or if it's just this straight thing like the UST has. Heavy, stable. It looks. Just think of it. The whole thing is in steel, but it doesn't adjust. But that's about all I've had so far. But yeah, it's going to be neat. I think it's just another way of getting into that space with those guys. But once it's readily out there, I can imagine I'm going to be experimenting with it, to be sure. Kevin Blue, what are we doing, Kevin Blue? Thanks for the videos and getting his club repair business back up and running. I'm looking to get a frequency machine. Would you recommend GolfWorks or the Mitchell machine? Kevin, I would actually recommend the GolfWorks machine. And the reason being is the Mitchell machine you have to have a light, and the thing goes down below it. Now, is it accurate? Yeah, it's accurate, but you have to have the light. Where the GolfWorks machine is a laser, and it breaks the line. And it's been experimented with and improved. The new black one is a neat little setup. It sits a little higher than my older one, and I just think it's a better model. Oh, and the other part is that the other side of it is on the GolfWorks machine is it has a clutch clamp, so you're really not there to break it. Where if the model is still there, then the Mitchell machine, it has a clamp that's just a force clamp like you would have on your gripping station, and you have if you get in a hurry, you have a real opportunity to break a shaft. Tommy, how are you, sir? Look at this. No lockdowns down there. Well done. All right, we're going to go down here. There's Charles. How are you, sir? Jack from Lombard's checking in. Robin's getting a lot of conversation going here. Well done. All right. James Wilson, what does lead deflection and droop cause, and what sort of shaft and head would this happen with? Well, so I know you see a lot of that on the TXG, and a lot of you guys watch that, and it is worth mentioning to be sure. Droop is when you swing. Again, let me check a shaft here. Here we go. Okay, droop is basically when the shaft does like that, all right? And there's a head on it, all right? And there's a head on this thing, and what happens is the head is drooping, and then deflection is as the kick, okay? And and what head and shaft would happen this with? All of them, but to varying degrees. All right, varying degrees, and it's based on head weight, where the weight is in the head, the type of shaft, and its profile. And just like you've seen on TXG, that like he's been real big with the autoflex here as of late, and Matt he's creaming it, right? And if you look, it's not drooping nearly as much. I think he was using the Ventus, the Fuji Ventus, and it's comparative on the drope. And if you got everything, dialed in, the last part of that is it doing this, and it impacts where you hit it here, right? If you hit it in this area and you droop, so if you hit it and it droops, you get it up in this neck of the woods. Right? If you keep it up, then it sits here. So that's what that's all for. Now the lead part is when it does like that. That's not you see that with when they tell you about the effective loft, how much loft you're adding, and that can be a lot. They might call it attack angles or effective lofts, that kind of thing. And that will tell you how, you might be getting more if you're hitting this thing up in the air. You might be getting more spin because of that lead deflection. There's Camilio. How are you, sir? Nice new machine. Yes, it is. I'm kind of getting excited about this one. Got a question about it. In the measuring you do with the shaft and the grip, the profile variant much without the grip installed. Okay, yeah, so what we have to do now is it's a total relearning curve. So all you guys with frequency machines and you got new ones, there's a couple of things you've got to do. Number one, you got to make sure it's calibrated in some fashion, right? And so Golf Mechanics makes a calibration stick, and it will tell you how much this thing is supposed to frequency at a certain length. And then you get it and you make it and make sure that it gives you that frequency. And if it doesn't, then you have to shift. And this is the reason why I'm doing on mine. You have to know where your difference is at. So is it reading low? Is it reading high? All right, doesn't mean you're out of cal. You just got to know how to shift it. Second, right, and the second is you have to test the clamp. Right, the clamp is just as important as where it gets measured because of how it holds it. If you increase that pressure on that clamp, you can make the frequency go up. Okay, you can make the frequency go up, and so the reason why I like clutches is because it puts on a constant pressure because it's like a breakaway torque wrench. You get it and you get it in 2 clicks and you know you're secure. Now, what you need to do is do a naked shaft, figure out what that frequency number is. It just whatever, it's an ambiguous number. It could be 120. It could be 320 for that matter. All right. Then put on a regular rubber grip like a Tour Velvet. Take a measurement of it. It's going to be less. Normally around 12, but we'll see. And then you got to strip that guy off and put on something that is maybe even harder, like a full-on corded grip, and do that number. And these are things you're going to want to write down. And then go up and do a soft grip, maybe a CP2, and for certain a wind grip. Okay, a wind grip. And then last but not least, you want to do a very big grip, right? Like an oversized, like a jumbo grip. And see if whatever it is on one of those that you've done, say the softer grip or even the Tour Velvety type grip, do a jumbo grip. And then that way you'll know what kind of transitions you have to make. And it gives you this amount that when you're doing your buddy's shafts and you put this in here and you say, oh, okay, this is an MCC 4 Plus. It's a little firmer than most, so we're going to add 15 to the frequency in order to get it as if it was a naked shaft. But that's what we do. And they can go as high as, I've seen them as low as 10, but those are really, really hard ones and used up. But on the average, around 12 to 15 at the bottom end, and as high as 20 to 25 on the soft end. There. Yeah. All right, here we go. Blues Club Repair. What frequency machine would you recommend? Mitchell Golf Works. I'm getting back in the business. I think we already did that one, bud, but I would go with the Golf Works. And Bogota. Well done. Thank you, sir. Joe Broderick. Thank you, buddy. On a flight home from Florida for work. Keep up the video. Well, you rotten dog. Went right down there. They didn't waste any time getting you in there, did they? Joe came down for a fitting, and Joe can have a very active business as he works with airplanes, and we worked with him a little bit and got him hitting some balls and did a little it's funny. We tweaked his swing first, and all he had to do was kind of push his hands a little further away from his body because he was all tucked in, and got him pushed out. And it freed him up, and was making this gorgeous turn, and just all of a sudden the quality of shots went up. And then as I got the right length on him, then we got the right lie angle on him, then we got the right shaft weight on him, and we got the right head on him, and you could see the quality of the shot just building up. And the funny part was that he wasn't swinging any faster, and we gained, it was some crazy number in an iron. We gained like 20 yards from my test clubs. It was just nutty. And yeah, that's not an everyday occurrence, but with a little bit of swing and a little bit of golf or a little bit of equipment, he was doing very, very well. All righty. Al's back in the Space Coast. Well done, sir. Thank you for joining us. James C. from Baltimore. All right. Would an 8-iron shaft be considered one-time soft step if in a 9 shaft of the same, if the 9-iron shaft is the same as a wedge? So 8 going into a 9 is a soft step, and you're going to lose about a third of a flex. Not too bad. You're going to feel a little softer, as they say. Not too bad. Hopefully you guys are doing good in Baltimore, sir. I knew a lot of people in Baltimore. My dad worked up in Landover, and a lot of guys came from Baltimore. So now you know what I'm talking about. All right, third time, but we'll send you an email and frequency machine tomorrow. It's okay to have one not powering, really? Okay. We can see. Wait a minute. Where'd Phil go? Did I miss Phil? I don't think so. Okay, Robin. There we go. James again, how does an adapter work? Say the ping one. How does it add or reduce loft and change the face angle? Well, I don't have one of those with me, but I have the Callaway one, which is probably the easiest one to deal with. But what it is that in most cases, except for these, work because they have cogs. And the cogs are what change those attitudes on them. But what it is basically instead of going straight into the shaft, it's cocked. And it's cocked this way and it's cocked that way, so that it's an elliptical or an ellipse. So that when you turn it, it makes the club do like this or like that, and that's how they work. Now, ping takes a little different, like they always do, that they have little bumps on the top, so that you have a good press fit when it gets in there, where the rest of them do not. They might have gears. Like Taylormade has a little gear at the bottom in order for it to marry up into the head, where the other one is more of a press fit. Oh, Camilio, that would be a first for me. I could take you through it. We can go through some stuff. I guess that would be something. Maybe we try that out just to see how it works. You're welcome, David. Anytime, sir. All righty. If I was given a set of clubs and they were a 1/2 inch too long, do I need to add weight even though I've never hit them with the old weight? No, I wouldn't necessarily go there just yet. A lot of folks get really wound up about the fact that that clubs will get lighter when you cut them. And they do, and that's the thing, they do. But every once in a while, when you see this, you go, oh, look, I really like this feel. Or you couldn't tell the difference in the feel. That's the other one. A lot of people don't have that touch. They just don't have that touch. And so by cutting them, you probably would, you put a new set of grips on it, and you'd probably be more impressed by the new grip than you would than the 1/2 inch being shorter, or a 1/2 inch being taken off. Robin talking to all these folks. Lorinda, Dwayne, Travis, Jerry, Dan. Nice. There's my buddy Steve. Yeah, we're trying to stay warm, but daggone. There we go. Do you ever put duct tape to build up grips with standard grips? Bill, never. Not ever. Now, it's not to say that I haven't found duct tape. I have found some crazy stuff underneath there. The old, if you guys have ever laid carpet or done that, just have an outdoor patio and you wanted to stick it down, they have the carpet tape. And carpet tape is about that doggone thick. And it's real spongy. And I've seen guys, because it's double-sided, what the folks have heard, oh, double-sided tape, and they put this stuff on there. And how they got it on without just completely tearing it up is beyond me. So whoever that was way back in the day, my hat's off. But man, was it a pain in the butt to take off. That stuff is sticky. It is absolutely sticky, and it balls up. It doesn't peel off like regular tape. Now, duct tape, I've seen duct tape. I've seen painter's tape. I've seen that thin packing tape, and the silver duct tape, and I think there was a green duct tape. Now, we'll get through. Medical tape too. But in the Navy, they called it EB tape for electric boat, and they came in different colors, and we used to say they were for different applications. And really what we thought it was for was to cover up tears in the different vinyl chairs we were all sitting in. But in reality, a lot of guys with the double-sided grip tape you can use as build-up tape. What we like to use is the brown paper tape. And it's like a brown, they call it brown packaging or brown craft tape, but it's paper and it's sticky on one side. And I do it because it's slightly thicker than the other tape, and we've measured this a couple of times, and it gets me right to where I want to be for size. It also manipulates pretty easy, so if I need to cut pieces and make relief, it's easy to cut, and it comes off well as well. But that's what we use. Never thought I'd be getting into that kind of deep conversation on tape. Thanks. Here we go. From Alabama. Hey, there's game coming on, man. Let's see. Fitted, left-handed fitted sim driver, speeder, 569. Whoo! You go, man. Jumbo Max, ultralight. Okay. E3. Oh, well, okay, yeah, I can understand that. If I had been fitted with a D4 swing weight, would that help speed and distance? 106 mile an hour. 106 pretty good, and if you're in the Evo in the stiff already, it sounds like you're fairly aggressive. The reason why you're seeing an E3 number is because of your ultralight Jumbo Max grip. It's about 20 grams, 15 to 20 grams lighter than what would be standard, and that's what's making it go up. Okay, and yes, in a lot of cases, if you're very aggressive, if you're very aggressive, and it feels like you're swinging the head and not the club, you may consider, putting another type of Jumbo Max that's heavier on the back, and that would immediately lighten everything, but it puts the weight here, and you can find your club, and then you can make some really quick swings. Case in point, a lot of the guys in the long drive used to back weight, the butt weight their clubs in order to gain extra speed, and I still believe that they're doing that. Jack Nicklaus did that, and that dude was a bomber. All right, but the more you can get in the back, it creates that hinge in order for you to get some speed. That's on most folks, but that's what that's for. Oh, well, the 45 gram normally from the as the lighter, it's not always the case, but typically when they go lighter in Callaway product, it means it's going to become more flexible. So 45 gram was probably an A. But they do have some 50S's. So that 40 gram, that 40 gram weight is about the break for them. Because in 50s and 60s, no, it didn't make a difference. It can be RSA, whatever. But in the 40s category for most Callaway product, it means you're in an A flex. Diamond Golf International. Okay. Good. I'm glad to hear it. They seem to be a good bunch of people, that's for sure. I did not know it was a family-run business, so very good. I'm glad to see that they're a good bunch of people. They came across that way for sure. And here's another one. Dave's all about them. Oh, good. All right, all right. If you've seen some of my other videos, Lee, when I do the Jim and Lee show, and when I'm down there for Accra, he's in London as well. I just gonna have to figure out what his last name is. But if you look up Accra Golf Shafts, it's Lee, and Lee's a golfer. Right? I've played with him. He puts the ball way out there, and so he can do that. So if you're looking for an alternative supplier in golf shafts, particularly you guys that are doing the golf stuff, you might want to get a hold of him, because he can get through not only the Accra part, but should also be hooked up with True Sports, which gets you into the True Temper stuff. Look at that business stuff. So we're talking fitting, business, all kinds of stuff. Well done, guys. Duluth, Minnesota. Thank you, sir. Glad you see making it in. RJ, what's up, bud? How do you recommend turning down wood ferrules? Easy to mess up the chrome as compared to the iron. Yes, they are, sir. So what I would do, man, I'm using props today. Like this guy here doesn't have that. Normally they have those little silver, plates, or a little, right here it'd be about silver up. This would not have that. And what I would do is I'd take a piece of masking tape just go around once, because every bit of that width is what that sandpaper is going to fight. And then especially if you're doing it by the hand sanding, you put the tape around it, and then you hand sand it until you see that you're disturbing the tape, and then you stop. And that's as close as you're going to get. Now, if you're using a belt sander, like a 1x42 belt sander, get the felt belt, all right, F-E-L-T belt. And you can get on this without doing, as long as you're not leaning into it, you can get it turned down to right where you need it to be without damaging any paint. All right. Diamond Tour. There we go. Well, the way that you were hitting the other one, buddy, I feel sorry for that net. Here we go. Jim went to the PGA store in the mid-50s, or PGA went into the PGA in the mid-50s. The course curriculum was a lot more involved then than I thought it would be. It was like going back to college. They give you 8 years to get through it. But I did it in 2. It's not hard work if you work at it. Well, there you go, Steve. Yeah, I don't know what they give you. I don't know if it's 8. Is it still 8 years? Because the way that a lot of these assistants were talking, they were just wanting to knock it out, and it would appear that they could do it in that 2 year period and knock all of them out. And it really depended on the level of business the course was doing, because you had to do so many outings, so many, setting up the shops and that kind of stuff. And they would come down here, and I would put them through the club making class, take some pictures, and they would take it back. And that's how I kind of found out about it. Darren Tracy's the owner, is an absolute gent. And the head of their workshop, Doug, has been fantastic resource education. Very good. Well, those guys have the in. I know they're very well connected, and they do enough that they've got enough pull in order to get the things that you may need. So good. I'm glad to see that's happening. John Kelly, how are you, sir? What was your rate in the Navy? E5 pipe fitter here. I am purchasing a graphite extension for my foreign. Oh, it was graphite. Okay, bud. I was a E6, and I was a nuclear machinist mate on a sub. And I was qualifying to be chief, and my time ran out. And that's okay, because I was more worried about the kids than I was anything else. But get the graphite extension. If you have graphite, this is good. If you have steel, you really want steel. But yeah, extend it. Either way you go. Now, I will give you a little bit of a hint on this one. When you go to do it, you're going to find yourself maybe just a bit of a shoulder. It's going to go from extension up. You're going to want to put a couple rolls of tape on the outside to make it nice and flat, and that way you're good to go. I'm getting the guys. So let's see what we got here. Let's see what we got. Bill, thank you, sir. Oh, talking to Robin. Scrunchy Chingo, Fort Worth. Thank you. We had Fort Worth. Hey, well, thank you for checking in, bud. Australia. Okay, Gordon, let's see. From Australia, built myself some D7 forged irons, but the 6 iron falls shut. Any idea why? Falls shut. What does it mean? Well, if you didn't get them new and you were getting as like somebody sold them to you on eBay or whatever, it might be because the lie angle is upright. Could be that. Could be the lie angle. Alrighty. Florida Suncoast. Man, I'd like to get down there. Yeah. Hell at the... Not too bad, bud. Here we go. Any suggestions for Jules' power leakage? Jules' power leakage with a driver. It's a swing thing. Only seems to be happening recently. Power leakage with the driver. Dude, there is so much to work with that kind of stuff. But, those speed sticks right now, I think, have been quite the deal. If you can get into the speed stick, that should help a lot. Those things are super popular right now. Brian from Arizona, hello, sir. Thank you for joining. Ellerton, Florida, thank you. Can an ought swing be a result of outside to maybe? Could be. There we go. I was wondering if you're going to make it in, sir. And it's snowing. Woo! Are you a skier too? Scott, walked 12 holes Saturday and 13. Oh, my God. You go, man. We're starting to get them out here, too. Joe B. Okay, I got like 2 more and then I'm done. If a set of irons has offset, does adjusting loft and lie and not really knowing what you're doing have potential script offset asking for a friend? No, not really. that's kind of a myth. I've seen some stuff where a guy grabs on it and he pulls it back to try and take offset off of it. I'm not a real, I've tried it once and it didn't work. And all I did was a futility of falling off the club. So the answer to that would be no, at least in my opinion. All right. Well, I know where you guys are at. All you guys in the UK, thanks, guys. Thanks for, I know you're staying up. Lee Porter, that's who it is, right there. Thanks, Dave. That guy is a gem. I like him a lot. All righty. Last one right here. David Hall, currently playing MP20 blades. You the man. Thinking of MP20 HMB iron, 4-iron. Shafts and blades are C-Taper Light 105s. Your thoughts appreciated. Well, use the same one, honestly. You're just going to turn the MP20 into a rocket because it's going to be playing closer to a 2.5 to 3 iron in your MP20s, that driving iron type of setup. I'd go with the same one. Those HMBs, those things are absolutely bad to the bone as far as I'm concerned. So, yeah, I wouldn't have any problem putting the same thing in there. What do we got here? Went to get fitted as a scratch golfer and was told they could only fine-tune my setup. I said, great, wanted to try a different swing weight, and they responded, we don't do that here. Well, as a whole, I don't fit to swing weight either, but if we are down to that point where you just went through it real fast, I've got a half a ton of lead tape, and we could try and make it to see whether or not you preferred a different type of swing weight or not, and just peel it back off. That wouldn't have been a problem. All right, guys, it's 6:37. We went a little bit over, and that's fine because you keep asking the questions. I want to keep giving answers. Again, the video came out today, so if you haven't seen it, please check it out. Give a like and subscribe if you would. Keep the idea up. Keep up the faith, guys. The weather's going to turn. We're going to get out of COVID. I know it's going to work good for us, and we'll be right back to it. The new stuff is coming out, and within a week we'll be able to start talking about all kind of stuff, and then we'll really have some cool discussions then. As always, guys, let's see your scores. Go low.